Oh wow, look at her acting like she's working again. My sister laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. Calm down. It's just one test. My children really need you. My dad didn't even look at me. He just pushed his phone across the table and said, "Final and calm. Drop it. Family comes first. You can redo tests. Your sister can't redo being a mom." Everyone smiled like it made sense, like it was nice. And something inside me went very, very silent. Because this wasn't the first time my life had been stopped for hers. It was just the first time they asked me to delete something that had my name on it. My future printed in black ink on a test schedule I'd held for months like a fragile promise. Hi everyone. My name is Meline Carter. And in my family, I was always the dependable one, the silent one, the one who changed. I agreed. I always agreed. "I'll watch the kids," I said quietly, eyes on my tea so they wouldn't see what was boiling behind them. My sister Lily sat back happy. See, Meline understands. What she didn't understand, what none of them ever understood, was how much it costs to always be the one who understands. The house smelled like pancakes and baby lotion, and the sharp pain of disappointment I'd learned to swallow. Lily started reading schedules, nap times, snacks, which cartoon kept the youngest quiet. My dad added, "Make sure you don't leave the house. We don't want any surprises." Surprises like I had ever been unexpected. I went upstairs to my room, closed the door, and sat on my bed with my phone in my hands, looking at the test hall address like it was a secret doorway. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from clarity. I packed my bag slowly. Calculator, student ID. The blue pen, my professor said, brought good luck, even though I didn't believe in luck anymore. Just timing and courage and how long you could hold your breath before picking yourself. Downstairs, Lily was already giving me the baby monitor. "You're such a lifesaver," she said. "I don't know what I'd do without you." I smiled. "Melite, perfect." Then I said, "Of course. I'll stay right here." They left 20 minutes later, convinced my world had shrunk again to fit inside their plans. The front door clicked shut, and for the first time in my life, I didn't stay where they put me. I picked up my bag, put on my shoes, and whispered to the empty hallway. "Just this once, I choose me." Outside, the air felt different, like it was watching. And somewhere between the front steps in the street, I realized this wasn't just a test I was walking toward. It was the moment they'd never forgive me for, and I hadn't even done it yet. The bus smelled like cold metal in someone's cheap cologne. My knee kept jumping, not because I was late. I wasn't, but because I kept waiting for my phone to explode in my hand. For Dad to realize the house was too quiet. For Lily to notice the baby monitor still on the table. For someone to finally see the gap where I always stood. My phone stayed silent. Outside the window, the city moved past in grey blocks and wet pavement. I watched students climb on and off, holding folders, whispering formulas, living inside futures no one had tried to cancel for them. I pressed my student ID between my fingers like a shield. At a red light, my phone buzzed. "Dad, where are you?" "Dad, Lily just called. The kids are crying." "Dad, don't do this." "Meline." My throat tightened, but my hand stayed steady. I typed nothing. Not yet. When the bus stopped near campus, I stepped down into a wind that smelled like rain and coffee and something sharp and awake. My shoes splashed through a shallow puddle, and I laughed under my breath. A small broken sound like I'd forgotten how. The test hall was already buzzing. Hundreds of voices, nervous and alive. I took my seat in the third row middle, exactly where I'd planned weeks ago. I set my bag down, and then my phone lit up again. "Mom, your sister is in tears." "Mom, how could you leave when they needed you?" "Mom, this isn't who we raised." That one stung. Not because it was true, but because it was almost true. The supervisor cleared her throat and said, "Phones off. Bags under your chairs." I slid my phone into my bag, heart pounding so loud, I was sure the girl beside me could hear it. For a second, guilt tried to drag me back. The old reflex, the old leash. Then the papers landed on my desk. My name was printed at the top, and suddenly I wasn't thinking about crying toddlers or angry parents or Lily's perfect life that I kept holding up like scaffolding. I was thinking about everything I had built quietly in the corners they never looked at. Pens scratching, pages turning, time moving forward without permission. Halfway through the test, I felt lighter, not happy, not safe, but real. When it ended, my hands were numb, my head spinning, and my chest felt like it had finally taken a full breath after years underwater. Outside the hall, sunlight broke through the clouds in thin gold lines. I took out my phone. 37 missed calls and one message that made my stomach drop. Lily, if something happens to my kids, this is on you. My fingers hovered over the screen. Then I opened my camera, turned it toward the campus sign behind me, and took a photo. Proof I had picked something they never picked for me. I didn't send it yet because I didn't realize that they were already building the story where I was the villain and I was about to give them the picture to hang it on. My thumb hovered for a long second. Then I sent the photo campus sign. Blue sky. My test slip still in my hand. No caption, no explanation, just truth. The reply came fast. Mom, are you serious right now? Dad, you picked this over your family. Lily, I can't believe you'd be this selfish. Selfish. That word had followed me my whole life like a warning label I was scared to earn. And now with one photo, I finally had. My chest burned, but something else rose with it. A strange steady calm. I typed one sentence. Me, I picked what you always told me mattered. Then I put the phone in my bag and started walking. Behind me, campus life kept moving. Laughter, cars, a street musician playing a song that sounded too hopeful for the way my stomach hurt. I walked until my legs shook, until the adrenaline drained and left only the ache. That's when I realized something terrifying. They weren't mad because I disobeyed. They were mad because I proved I could, because once I stopped showing up on command, their control had cracks in it. My phone burst again and again, but the message that finally froze me wasn't angry. Who is careful? Dad, come home. We need to talk about what you've done, not what happened, not how are you, what you've done. Like, I was a problem that needed fixing. I stared at the screen, heart sinking, as I knew that tone. It was the voice he used right before everything in our house turned into my fault. And this time, I wasn't planning to apologize my way out of it. But I also didn't know yet how far they were willing to go. I got home just before sunset. The house was too quiet. The kind of quiet that feels staged, like everyone already agreed on their lines before you walked in. My dad was sitting at the dining table. My mom stood by the sink, arms crossed. Lily was on the couch, eyes red, phone in hand like she'd been crying for an audience. No one asked if I was okay. Dad spoke first. Come controlled. Dangerous. Do you have any idea what kind of position you put your sister in today? I set my bag down slowly. You told me to skip my test. Mom cut in sharp. We told you to help your family. I looked at Lily. You never asked. You just assumed. Her mouth trembled, but her eyes hardened. Because you always say yes. Dad leaned forward. And today you embarrassed us. Your mother had to leave work. Lily had to rush home. Do you know how that looked? That's when I understood. It wasn't about the kids. It was about inconvenience, about image. I passed my test, I said quietly. No one smiled. Dad shook his head. That's not the point. And there was the sentence that had ruled my life. Not the point. My hands curled into fists. So what is the point? That I stay available. That I stay small enough to fix your scheduling problems. Mom's voice cracked. Why are you making this into a drama? We needed you. Lily stood up. And now Dad's saying, maybe I shouldn't let you near the kids anymore because clearly you don't care. The words hit harder than shouting. Not just blame, but punishment. I felt something shift in my chest. Something fragile, snapping. I cared enough to raise myself, I said. Because you were all too busy picking her. Dad's chair scraped back. That is enough. He pointed toward the stairs. You owe your sister an apology. Now, for a moment, I almost gave it. Muscle memory is powerful. But then I saw it clearly. If I apologized, today would become proof that my future was always negotiable. I lifted my chin. No, the room went dead still, and in that silence, I realized this family had never learned how to deal with a version of me that doesn't bend. Dad's face changed first. Not anger. Calculation. If you're going to live in this house, he said slowly, you follow this family's rules. Mom added, softer, but just as sharp. And families make sacrifices. I laughed once. It slipped out before I could stop it. Not funny, just tired. So that's it. I said, my education is optional, but Lily's convenience is law. Lily crossed her arms. You're acting like a victim. No one forced you to stay here all these years. That landed hard, but it was half true and half cruel. Dad stood up. Maybe it's time you learned what independence really costs. He walked to the hallway cabinet and pulled out an envelope. My name was on it. My scholarship paperwork. The documents I'd begged him to mail months ago. The ones he promised were already sent. My stomach dropped. I didn't submit these, he said. I was waiting until you showed more commitment to this family. My vision blurred. You used my future as leverage. Mom whispered. We just wanted you to prioritize what matters. Something cold settled in my chest. They hadn't just asked me to miss a test. They had been controlling my path the whole time. I picked up the envelope, hands shaking. You don't get to decide my life anymore. Dad's voice hardened. Then don't expect our support. I looked at each of them, at the people who raised me to be useful, not loved. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't about babysitting. This was about ownership. And I was done being something they thought they owned. I didn't cry. Not there. Not in front of them. I took the envelope, turned, and walked to my room with my back straight and my hands numb. Inside, I locked the door and slid down against it, breathing like I'd just run miles instead of crossed the hallway. That word kept echoing. I opened my laptop with shaking fingers and logged into my school portal, already knowing what I'd find. Application status incomplete. Documents missing. My throat closed. Then I saw the deadline. Midnight. 3 hours away. I wiped my face, scanned every paper in that envelope, uploaded files, typed until my wrists ached. When the confirmation screen finally popped up, I pressed my forehead to the desk and whispered, please. Outside my door, I heard Lily's voice. She's being dramatic. She always does this when she doesn't get her way. I smiled through tears. As for once, I wasn't doing this for them to notice. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Hi, this is the University Housing Office. We received your emergency accommodation request. Emergency. I hadn't meant it to sound that bad, but I didn't correct her. Yes, I said. I can come tonight. When I opened my door with my backpack on, my dad looked shocked. You're really leaving? I met his eyes. Come clear. I already left, I said. And this time, no one told me to come back, but I could feel it. They weren't done with me yet. The dorm hallway smelled like detergent and live starting over. Someone was laughing behind a door. Someone else was crying. It felt strange how normal the world stayed while mine was breaking and rebuilding at the same time. I dropped my bag on the narrow bed and finally let myself breathe. Then my phone lit up. Not Dad. Not Mom. Lily. Lily. Dad says, if you don't come back and apologize, they're cutting you off completely. Lily, no more help, no more home, no family. I stared at the word family like it was written in a language I didn't speak anymore. Me, you already picked who matters. 3 dots appeared, disappeared. Then, Lily, I didn't ask for this. Lily, you could have just helped like always. Like always. There it was again. The expectation that my existence was a service. I typed, then deleted, then finally sent me loving you shouldn't mean losing myself. Minutes passed. Then the message that changed everything. Mom, if you walk away now, don't bother coming back. Don't call us when you fail. Don't ask for anything. I felt the last thread snap. Not loud, just clean. I set the phone face down on the bed and sat in the quiet, realizing something terrifying and freeing at the same time. They thought this was punishment, but what they were really giving me was permission, and I was about to use it. 2 weeks later, my phone rang during a study break. Dad's name. I almost didn't answer. Almost. His voice sounded smaller. Your mother's car broke down. We need someone to pick Lily's kids up from school. Lily stuck at work. We thought maybe you could help. Just this once. Just this once. The same words they used when they asked me to shrink. I closed my notebook slowly. Around me, the dorm common room hummed with quiet ambition. Students building lives no one had put on pause. I have class, I said. He exhaled, frustrated. Meline, be reasonable. Family. I know, I cut in gently. Family comes first. Silence. Then Mom took the phone. Her voice was tight. So, you're really doing this? Punishing us? I looked at the calendar on my wall. My test dates, my housing approval, my part-time job schedule. No, I said. I'm picking, she whispered, after everything we did for you. And that's when it finally came out, calm and steady and unshaking. You did what helped you. I did what saved me. Another pause. Dad's voice again, rougher now, so you won't help. I thought of the little girl who learned early that love meant being useful. Then I thought of the woman who finally learned that love shouldn't cost her future. Of course, I said softly. My mother's breath hitched with relief. I won't. And for the first time, their disappointment didn't feel like a verdict. It felt like freedom. I hung up, went back to my notes, and kept studying. Not because I was angry, but because I was done sacrificing tomorrow to fix their today. And somewhere in that quiet, ordinary moment, I understood. Revenge doesn't always look like shouting.